Hey class, Mr. Dempster here on March 25th. I got my dog here, Marshall, here with you. You can just see the top of his head, but he wanted to come in here and be in the class, so he just wants some scratches. Today we're going to be looking at circles around the house. So what I'm going to ask you to do, and I actually got this from a couple kids who took pictures of circles around the house and measured them. So I'm going to have you go around the house, find something circular. So I actually have a Jets crib board that I'm going to be looking at. And I want you to find all of its measurements. So that means we're going to find the area, we're going to find the radius, the diameter, and the circumference of that one circle. I'll then ask you just to take a picture of it and then send me in the measurements with your completed work. And that's what we're going to work on today, is how to show our work in our solutions. So that's what you want to make sure when you're looking at your circle. We have to know what are we going to measure first, and you can get some help with some of the formulas on the notes on Khan Academy. So once you get all that, you're going to send it into Shobi. So the first thing I'm going to look at when I'm measuring this circle, I do want to go right through the center. Luckily this has a nice center line on here, so I'm going to take my ruler and I'm going to measure the diameter first. Alright, and this circle is perfectly 30 centimeters. I'm working in centimeters. So the diameter is 30 centimeters. So to find other things, I can now go off of that. So let's use green because that blue's not as nice. I'm going to look at the radius. So the first thing I do is I write down the formula. So I'm going to say the radius r equals the diameter divided by 2. Remember that line means divided by. And then I'm just going to fill in the pieces that I know. So I know the diameter is 30 centimeters. So I'm going to say it's 30 centimeters. I just replace the d with the 30 and it's still being divided by 2. I bring down my equal sign, make sure that's in line and everything. And then I'm going just to do it. So 30 divided by 2 is 15, meaning that the radius is 15 centimeters. All right, so once I have those two, I can move on to my circumference. Remember, when we looked at circumference, we said it was roughly 3 times the size of the diameter. And we came up with that 3 times the size as pi. Pi is 3.14159, keep going. And we times that by the diameter. If you didn't know that, you could also say it was pi times 2r. So because radius times 2 is the diameter. So you can use either of those formulas. I'm going to use this one here because I know the diameter. I'm going to say pi. Now I know the diameter. I put it in brackets to show multiplication. And then I'm actually going to get a calculator for that. Because I do want to be as exact as I can actually say it's just 30 pi, but I'm going to get a decimal number there. So I'm going to go on my calculator and I'm going to say 30 times pi. I don't want to say times 3.14 because it's not as exact. So if you have a pi button on your calculator, make sure you press that. And I got 94 and 25 hundredths centimeters. So that is the circumference of our diameter. So if we're looking at that, we're saying that the circumference is how far around. So if I took a string and I actually measured all the way around this circle, and then I stretched that string out and measured it, it would be roughly 94 and 25 hundredths of a centimeter long. The radius, remember, we're looking at just from that center symbol, right from that jet symbol, all the way to the edge of the circle there, and the diameter is all the way across. Finally, we're going to find the area. So we're saying how much wood actually is on this area, how much surface is right here. And we're going to use our next formula for that. And that's one we haven't talked about as much, so I'm going to put it in bright blue here. And the area is equal to pi r squared. So pi times the radius squared. Now, remember, radius squared means I have to take that radius number and multiply it by itself. So that's what squared means. And now I'm going to fill that in. I know the radius from this previous one. So I'm going to look at that and I'm going to say pi times 15 squared. Now I know 15 squared, it's 225, but if you don't, I really hope it's 225 here. You can say 15 times 15 for 225, or you can say 15, and there should be a squared button on your calculator, and by pressing that, that's the same thing as doing 15 times 15. So I found my squared button and it's 225. I know you can't see that. 225 centimeters. And because we're talking about area, we have to say it's squared. Remember, when we're talking about area, we're saying how many square centimeters would actually fit in this. And if you remember from your grid paper, we're counting the squares inside the circle for the area. So that is how you do that. So that is the 4 measurements for circles that I'd want you to find. Hi, Marshall. So the big thing that I want you to focus on when you're looking for your object to measure is that you measure the diameter. So you're actually measuring right across the object, right through the center of that circle. It has to be a circular object for this. Find that diameter first. The next thing I really want you to make sure is you're using structure in your solution. So if you notice I say the radius, I always write the formula first. And then I go to the next line, we call it. I just go down, I write an equal sign right underneath the next equal sign, and I continue that across just to keep it organized and easy to follow. So once you do that, you're going to send it to Shobi. Someone's at my house. You're going to send it into Shobi. The last thing is I just want you to remember that you hand in all your assignments. Kids have been really good at handing their assignments in. They're making sure that they're submitting them, asking lots of questions. Please keep asking the questions. With Shobi, if you're having trouble with it, just let me know and I'll do my best to help you out. One thing that did come up is if I send you that PDF, you can actually write right on the PDF on Shobi. So you can do that if you can't print it off. I do suggest maybe you just write it on loose leaf so you don't have as much screen time. But I can also send the document to you in other ways as well. So if that's all good, keep asking those questions, keep going, and have a good day. Hey, so one final thing, I made a mistake here. I said 15 squared is 225, which is totally true, but I didn't multiply it by pi yet. So I have to change this a little bit. I have to just say that I have pi times 225. And then I will actually have my answer for the area of my Jets crib board. So I say 225 times pi, and that's going to give me 706 centimeters squared. Not a big deal. I just had to go back when I was looking at my work. I noticed that I made that mistake, so I just came back and fixed it. All right, have a good day, everybody.